Right then. Can you see the slides? Just give me some thumbs up if you can see the slides, yeah? It's not like, okay, brilliant, nice. Okay, fabulous. Okay, I think everyone here does know me, but, oh, we've got more people coming. There we go. Oh, this is confusing me. It's like a spaceship. Here's Marek. So many controls. Hey, Marek. Right. Okay, right. I think I've got the hang of this. So hopefully you can see the main slide, which says mindset coaching, and it's me clapping my hands like this. Yes? Awesome. Happy days. Okay, so this is what we're going to cover today. And now this is what we cover with all anyone who joins the gym now. So it's our mindset coaching session. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to try and apply it to the current situation and, you know, try and help everyone stay in a positive mindset and stay on track with their fitness. Obviously, many people have lost jobs and are not able to come to the gym because it's closed. But there is obviously plenty of stuff that you can do at home. So that's what kind of we're going to cover today. So it's a little bit of a recap for all the members who have seen this as well, which is cool. So Emma, is Erin there? Because I actually used some of her slides that she made for me when she was doing work experience. If she is, you'll see them in a minute. Okay, so our first kind of principle, our kind of thing that we have as one of our ethos really, is to never complain, never make excuses and whine. And there is obviously a lot of that going on with the whole COVID obvious at the moment. And I just wanted to explain why we do that. The number one thing, which is why I kind of had it as part of our ethos in the gym, is that just like a virus, it spreads and multiplies and it compounds. So it means that when one person starts complaining, it means someone else does, and then it kind of multiplies. And then before you know it, everyone's mind is kind of focused on something negative. It also gives us reasons not to become better people, which I think most people want to be, because that's why you come to the gym. And it kind of allows you to cheat yourself out of improvement and stops us achieving the goals that we want to achieve. And like I said, it focuses our minds onto negative things, which at the moment there's a lot of focus on it, and it doesn't feel good, and it's not good for us mentally. So I kind of try and make it a personal policy to not complain about things, because it doesn't really get us anywhere, and it actually stops us achieving what we really want to achieve. So yeah, if you've got any comments, by the way, just comment on them in the box so I can see the chat box. Give us a little bit of feedback, because I can't tell if you're looking at it or not. So there you go, no excuses. So my first task for you, if you have a notepad or something like that that you want to write this stuff down with, is what do you make excuses for, or what do you complain, what do you whine about the most? And you can kind of go through, if you go through your day and you notice that you're complaining a lot about something, then write it down, be aware of it. And what we do is we usually give people a little band that they can ping, and it can stop you. So every time you make a complaint, you just ping the band. I don't know if anyone's got one on, but Sarah, you've usually got one, haven't you? Have you got yours? Oh no, is that because you've been snapping it too much? Okay, cool. So the first thing that we start with is this fixed and growth mindset. So some of you may have heard of this before, some of you have maybe not. And the reason that we start with this is because when anyone is trying to improve themselves, trying to make themselves better, if they have a fixed mindset, then they have a kind of ceiling on how much they can improve. So whereas if you have a growth mindset, then there is no ceiling, and you're able to unlock your potential. So there is a little quiz, and if you want the link to the quiz, I can send that to you, that you can do to kind of see where you're at now. And the idea of that is just to, I'll click on it now so you can kind of see it. It's just to answer it honestly as to where you are now, because then you can be aware of your current situation, and you can see whether or not it's, no, it's not going to change, is it? Okay, here you go. So this is the quiz that I use, fixed or growth mindset. And it's just a series of questions that you can agree, maybe, or disagree with. And a lot of it kind of is about your natural ability, your intelligence and things like that, and whether you believe that people were born good at things or that they can actually be developed through practice. And obviously, if your result is that you're down this end of the scale and you're in a fixed mindset, then it could be that you're holding yourself back from things that you may want to achieve. Like you may want to do, in my case, like as a good example. So I wanted to do an Ironman for a long time, but because I had a fixed mindset about my endurance ability, I never signed up for one until I realized that I'm stood here telling everyone about fixed and growth mindsets, and I need to kind of practice what I preach. So I realized that I was kind of saying, oh, I'm not a good endurance person. So I signed up for an Ironman, and now hopefully I'll be able to do it. But that genuinely may not happen now, unfortunately. So that's the quiz, and that's just the first place you start. And as you can imagine, it's quite hard to coach people when they are thinking they're fixed and they're stuck where they are. So that's kind of the first thing to get your head around with the mindset stuff. And there is a good book actually, which is called You Are Awesome. I've got loads of copies of this if you want one, by a guy called Matthew Said. He's got some really good examples in here of people that we think are kind of naturally gifted, like David Beckham, or who else is in here? We've got tennis players. Oh, I've forgotten it. There it is. Oh, Serena Williams, Mozart, all these people who we think are kind of naturally gifted, but they actually had parents who are coaches. So Serena Williams' dad was a tennis coach. Mozart's dad was a teacher and a composer. So he was able to pass on that knowledge to his kids very young age. And we think like they are awesome, like at a young age and naturally gifted, which they are awesome, but only because they've kind of had that amount of practice. And there's another sort of theory which I really like, is the time it takes to reach a level of mastery. So a level of mastery, and for those of you who know me, and if you knew me from Jersey, then my previous brand was the Fitness Masters. And the reason for that is because it takes something like 10,000 hours of practice in anything to become a master at it. So no matter where you start, you need 10,000 hours. So but the key thing is that those hours need to be strenuous practice for them to count towards, your mastery level. So if you apply that to your fitness, your health, or whatever it is, you might not see any results for a long period of time, even though you're practicing, but it just takes time for that to happen. Okay. So that's the fixed and growth mindset. And that leads us on to affirmations. If you haven't heard of affirmations before, it's simply, what do you think about yourself? Okay, so the reason that this is quite important is because what you think about what you think about yourself underpins everything that you do. So we have two minds going on here. So we have our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. And the whole goal of this is to have a subconscious mind that actually serves us, rather than a subconscious mind that thinks we're not very good, or we're rubbish, or anything like that. Or we have a limit on what our ability is. Because if in our subconscious mind we truly kind of believe that we are as good as we're ever going to get, then we're not going to go and actually try to improve ourselves. So your conscious mind is about 20% or so of your actual brain, let's say, dealing with new information, and it draws on information that is in your subconscious mind to make a decision. So if like something happens, you look into your subconscious mind, you're not very confident because that's kind of an affirmation you have back up there, then the way you act is going to be because of that subconscious mind. Okay, so your subconscious mind contains all of that stuff, all of your previous knowledge, like your history, who you are. Like, I'm a dentist. That's like something in my subconscious mind. Our opinions, habits, maybe your favorite color, etc. Okay, so affirmations feed both of those minds. And why this is really, really important is because what you think determines how you feel, which determines how you act. Okay, so in terms of like current situation, if a lot of us are focused on how everything's going wrong, everything's really, really shit at the moment, a lot of people are saying, oh, we're all in the same boat. Like, yes, we are to a certain point, but there is things we can do about it. So it's trying to shift our sort of mindset, because what you think determines how you feel. And if you feel really shit, you're not going to act in a good way. Okay. I'm very happy with this slide, by the way, just so you know. So positive thoughts lead to positive actions, negative thoughts lead to negative actions. So what you think could be, I am so ugly, I hate myself, I am bad at this. And then you feel low, you have confidence, perhaps issues, you're maybe suffering depression and anxiety, and these things can then perpetuate because you act in a certain way. You comfort eat, you avoid social situations, or you don't treat yourselves well. And then obviously that then makes you feel even worse, and then it just becomes this cycle. Oh God, here we go. Which kind of feeds itself. And the flip side of that is you can actually input good things into your brain, like, I am good at this, I like this, I am grateful for this. And then you feel confident, you feel like you have a higher self-esteem, you have joy and love in your life, and then you treat yourself well, and you eat healthy food, and then you connect with others, and then that self-perpetuates instead. Now, it's really easy to put up on a slide and kind of explain it to you, but it doesn't, if you want to kind of practice this and stay on track with it, it does really take some time to get that in. And I found the best way is gratitude to practice this. So I take my gratitude journal and I write down 3 things I'm grateful for, and I'm just trying to, condition myself to be in a mindset where I'm grateful for things, because then my feeling is a much more positive feeling than, oh, I'm really, the gym's closed. I mean, bloody hell. I mean, I've really had to rely on this recently. The gym's closed, all members are leaving, and it feels horrible. And then I have this decision. I can either focus on how bad that is, or I can go, right, I'm really grateful for people who can stay, and I'm grateful for the people who have been here, and all of this kind of thing. And what can I do now? And then my feelings are much more positive, and then the actions are, we got on with the online stuff and come up with some good ideas on leasing out equipment and things like that. So hopefully that makes sense, because I think this is one of the most important slides to staying on track, especially through when the whole world seems to be kind of falling down a little bit around everybody. Give us a thumbs up if that makes sense, because got a lot of cool faces there. Nice one, thank you. All right. So it takes practice with a growth mindset. You can kind of get your head around this. You can do it if you have a growth mindset. If you have a fixed mindset, you probably wouldn't be on the seminar anyway. So, but you can change your thoughts. And the best way is that practice the gratitude, okay? It's really easy to practice gratitude. All you need to do is just write down 3 things that you're grateful for every evening. That's kind of it. And if you're not that religious about it, like I'm not particularly regular with it, I try and do it, particularly when I'm not feeling good. I'm sure if I did it even more regular, like when I went to bed and when I woke up, that would be unbelievable. Like you'd really benefit from that. Then you're just perpetuating it. And sometimes people get this kind of imposter syndrome here, because they're writing down things like that they're not good at, maybe like they're saying to themselves that they are confident when they're not. That's imposter syndrome, when you don't feel like, what's the point? But if you keep, just remember that that's because that's subconscious, that you've got those affirmations up there. So you just need to kind of override them a bit. And I think a lot of people don't get it because of that imposter syndrome thing. They don't feel like, what's the point in saying things sometimes? Okay, cool. So if you want to take a fresh notebook, if you have a notebook in front of you, take a fresh page. On the page in the middle, just write down everything. Like, you just write down, what do I think about myself? And then just, just splurge all over the page, because it's really interesting what comes out. Sometimes it can be pretty nasty. Some people have some pretty nasty kind of things they think about themselves. Nice, Emma. You found a tenner. Oh, wow. That must be mine from the last time you came in. Well, that was worth coming on the seminar for, wasn't it? So yeah, take a notebook and just see what comes up, because it can be pretty surprising sometimes. And it's quite a nice kind of self-reflective task to do. And then you can kind of ask yourself, well, how do these things determine how I act? If I think I'm a grumpy person, am I gonna, go to the bar with my mates, or, whatever? So it's really, really important, I think, to kind of have a little go at this every now and then. Okay, so once you kind of know what you think about yourself, and before we kind of get on to setting goals and all that sort of stuff, I just want to show you another sort of highlight from another book the first sort of success book I read, which is called The Slight Edge. The Slight Edge is all about compound interest. And if anyone knows anything about banking or money, then you might have come across compound interest before. So compound interest is, if I put £1 into the bank and I get 1% interest, I get £1 and 1 penny. If I get 1% again, I don't get it on the original pound, I get it on the £1 and 1 penny. So I get point whatever it is on the penny. And that keeps going, and it eventually it builds and it builds and it builds momentum, and then you have a lot of money if it's working in financial times. This is the way I got my first pull-up, because I was trying so many things to try and get a pull-up, and I just didn't see any success, so I would give up. But then once I understood this, I just realized I had to do loads of little things, because your progress is not linear. Your progress is small, tiny changes over time that build up and then make a big change. So you might not actually notice anything for a significant amount of time. So if you've got a goal in mind and you're practicing, even if it's like, what we were talking about just now with the changing your mindset, it takes a bit of time for this to kick in. But just trust. We have a thing where we say a lot is trust the process. So trust the process, because it is happening, you just can't see it. Okay, so it's really, really, it's called the slight edge. It's a slight change. And you can apply this to, anything really. Because for me, I used to smoke, I used to drink a lot. And when I was in the army and I read about this, I was smoking. And this is how I gave up smoking eventually. I just made little changes, loads of little changes over time. So nothing in your life is staying level. You're either improving or declining. You can't detect the change until some time. And it just depends on how, what your goal is as to how long it's going to take. It could be years, months, or weeks. It just depends. If it's a pull up, it could be a couple of months. If it's like a muscle up, it could be a year. It just depends on all sorts of things. The other side of this is, the opposite. Okay, so the negative side of the curve, it is going down as well. So if you're not looking after certain things in your life, and especially at the moment where things might have been dropped, there is the other side of it. You can hang on for a while. If you don't join in with the fitness for a while, you'll be all right for a few weeks, but then after a while you're going to start really noticing things. If you carry that on for 6 months, then you're going to be right sort of going down the bottom of that curve, especially at a time where actually fitness is really probably more important than ever. We can't even train like we used to. It's quite significant. Okay, is everyone happy with that? Has anyone ever read The Slight Edge? It's quite an old book. It's it's quite American as well. So No? No takers? Okay, right. I'm going to touch on another thing, which is the law of attraction. And this is a little bit out there, but I still like it. This is The Secret. It's another book that I recommend to you. It's by a lady called Rhonda Byrne. There is also a film on Amazon Prime, which is a bit rubbish, but it gets the point across. This is the slide Erin made for me. I thought I'd keep it in because it's quite funny. It's got the grumpy cats in it. So the simplest way of explaining this is how Erin has, really. If you have a positive attitude, you attract positivity. And if you have a negative attitude, you will attract negativity. So one of the things about not complaining is because we don't want to attract any crap into our life. And this is just touching the surface of what I believe is going on and what they talk about in the book. But that is the simplest kind of way of saying it. If you're, walking down the street with your head down, then no one's going to say hi to you because you have your head down. Whereas if your head is up and you're smiling, then the opposite is true. And if you think about everyday life, that you can really apply this if you're not complaining. But if you're complaining, that's a negative thing, and therefore you're attracting that potentially more stuff. And it's not so clear cut as I'm complaining about bad weather, therefore there's more bad weather. It can be just you're complaining about bad weather, and then someone else starts getting on board with that complaint, and then before you know it, something else is going wrong. So I really recommend getting into this. And the simplest way to practice this is that gratitude thing again, because you're now focused on what you want to attract. So you will attract more of it. The way I really tested this out for sure for me was I actually started journaling about, Sarah's trying to show me something here. What's that? Oh, you got it. Oh, nice. 10 points. Well done. So for me, the way I really practiced this was I just started journaling about having some finance for the gym, so to get the money for the gym to start with. And within about 3 weeks, someone gave me the money to start the gym, and it was pretty amazing. And I didn't even think that person had any money, and I don't know. I mean, it was pretty random. And then even like the change of use for the gym itself. I mean, this was totally against the rules to have a gym here. It was very against the rules in the council. But I just think that because I kept focused on it happening rather than it not happening, I really think that helped the process. I mean, you can't say for sure, but I don't think it hurts, basically, without discussing all the ifs and buts about it. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense as well. So use the law of attraction to stay on track. If you think now about all the negativity that's going on as well, like you focus on that again, you're going to potentially attract something you don't want. Okay, so setting a vision. Okay, a lot of what we've talked about so far is hopefully removing some limitations in your mind. If you get an opportunity to go through that quiz, that will really kind of let you know where you are now, and then you'll know whether you're kind of holding back on what you want out of life or want out of your fitness. Because if you think you're fixed on something, you might not pick say an Ironman to have as your thing that you're going to go and do, because you're fixed on your ability to be able to do that. So this is a little grid. This is kind of like the big blocks in people's lives. And like I said in my email, I mean, all of those blocks around the outside there, some of those have been kind of stripped away recently for a lot of people. Wealth, finances, fame, reputation, career, travel, like some of those are not an option at the moment. They will come back because this is only a temporary situation. But it's that the block in the middle is the one where obviously I want to focus because, well, we're a gym. And it feeds all the other blocks. Okay, so the more energy you can have in that center piece, the more you've got for everything else anyway. Most people are so focused on their work that they're draining their health and think they're doing the right thing by focusing on their work. But actually, if you focus a little bit on your health, and your well-being, you're going to have more energy for your career in the end anyway. Okay, so what I sort of would encourage with this is just to have kind of a positive statement in each box. That's it. If you really want to get into it, then do a vision board. And I do a vision board. I have a board up like in front of my bed. And so when I wake up, my subconscious brain is seeing what I want. And it's got all of these kind of things on there, just a positive statement about each one. It's got affirmations on there. It's got like goals, which we'll talk about a bit more, is slightly different, things that I want to achieve. So it's just priming you. It's just trying to prime your mind like all the time, really, to stay in a positive state rather than surrounding ourselves with negative things. By the way, when you're a kid, you probably did this. Put stuff up on your wall, like the thing you want, places you want to go, but for some reason we don't do it as adults anymore. But yeah. Okay, so that's your setting your vision. So once you've kind of figured out what it is you want out of your vision for your, let's say, your health, because let's say we're a gym. If it's I want to be 90 years old and I want to still be able to do whatever I want to do. I want to go paddleboarding and pick up grandkids without having a bad back. Then your goal needs to be kind of in line with that. My vision is pretty much that. It's not, so my goal is not to win Ironman for the next 10 years. And also my vision has other things on it, like having a successful gym. If I want to win Ironman for the next 10 years and have a successful gym, I don't think those two, they're not really correlating, because that's going to take up too much time. It's not that I don't believe I can do it. It's just that it would take a hell of a lot of time to be able to achieve that. So your goals need to be in line with your vision. And I really like that quote there by Bruce Lee, because a goal is not always meant to be reached. It's simply something to be aimed at. And I'll use the Ironman again as an example, but that now genuinely might not happen for me, but that's okay, because I've got my shiny new bike, which you can just see the wheel of. I've learned how to swim. I've got a lot better at running. My cardio health is a lot better. So it's been worth having that goal. And I've also met loads of people who have done Ironman now. It's really weird, but that's that law of attraction thing again. I think 2 people have joined the gym who have done Ironman, and prior to that, no one had done Ironman. It's like kind of weird, but I think that's that law of attraction working. So when you set goals, start at the end in mind, think big, try and hopefully getting rid of some of those limitations in your mind, and be really specific about what it is. It's really, I can't emphasize how good it is to have a goal that's just ridiculously big that everyone thinks you're a bit stupid for setting, because it just, loads of things happen, and it tunes your mind into something. And like I say, it's got to be something that you care about. If you don't care about running a marathon, then don't have it as your goal. But it really does help to have something quite big that you want to achieve, and sit down and think about it. Write it down, and it's okay if it changes, because you might write down that you want to do a marathon, because I've said that maybe you should have a big goal, but tomorrow you might not really think that's actually, well, you don't really want to run a marathon, and that's okay, because these things change. And the more you practice, you review the values and you review things, then your goals will change, and that's okay. And I think it's quite important to be okay with that, because otherwise we feel like failures for having not achieved them, and that's important. Okay, another thing that we have. So we set the vision. We've kind of set in some goals. One of the other things is to own everything or control things that we can control around there. And then especially with the current situation, this is really important. So obviously we're a gym, we're talking about fitness. These are the big things that move the needle in terms of your fitness. Okay, so nutrition, mindset being the first one. If you're fixed, then you're not going to stretch yourself. You're stuck the way you are. Training, sleep, your environment. That's an interesting one, because obviously, actually, we don't have so much control over our environment right now, but we can do what we can about it. We can make it nicer. tidy it up, unlike my office. Connections, again, like I think the whole socially disconnecting or whatever it is, social distancing thing needs a rebrand, doesn't it, to physical distancing rather than that. And actually, I think people are making a bit of more of an effort to connect to one another. Interestingly, this is the biggest needle mover in terms of how long you'll live. So your social kind of connections, like the meaningful connections you have, those are, the more you have, the longer you'll live. And actually, some of the research has found that the people who live the longest have virtually nothing in common apart from this. So some people smoke until they're 100 and they've never gone to the gym, or, you know, just eat cheese all the time. But they have loads of close connections with one another. Recovery, so obviously the stretching and the mobility is important. It helps you get back and train quicker and avoid injuries and not fall off the wagon, if you like. And then your nutrition as well, and that's an obvious one. And I just want to point out the importance of sleep, because 95% of your recovery happens in deep sleep. So that's pretty significant. Ivan's gone to sleep by the looks of things. Not that bad, is it? So, you know, we have these waves that we go in and out of, and if anyone, you know, I track things, so I track my sleep because I'm a geek. But it is important to track, I think, the sleep and have a little look. If you think you're not recovering, if you're really sore, you're really achy, then check your sleep. It's one of the probably the biggest thing that will move the needle other than the connections with people. Your REM sleep's where your mind sorts itself out, and then, like I say, your deep sleep's where your body repairs. And it, again, right now, it's like we're stressed about the whole situation, the current situation that we're in. So therefore, we're not sleeping. So therefore, things like our immunity can be down because we haven't got that sleep that we need. So one of the big things you can do for your sleep is just set yourself a routine, and, like, you know, simple things like don't check your phone before bed, and make sure you're getting to bed at the same time so your body's circadian rhythm gets into a routine. Okay, so this is your process. We're going to come back to that slide in a minute. It's all about building your process. So it's things that are easy for you to do and they're easy not to do. That's why things seem so simple, because they're so easy to do. But unfortunately, they're really easy not to do as well. It's really easy to drink water all day. It's also easy not to. Okay, so that's what we need to figure out. So once you've got your vision, you've got some goals, now you can start building some practical things that you can work towards those goals. So I'm just going to fire up a few things on here. So a sort of nutrition thing that you can do is just find one good recipe. If you don't eat particularly well, just find one good one that you can master, so you don't have to think about it. It's the biggest thing, is people don't know what to do. So just find, like, a stir fry. It's like the easiest thing you can cook. Just stir fry, done. Veggies, it's all like, everyone knows what to do. Just got to do it, that's all. Read 10 pages of a good book a day. Like, these are my 3 recommended books. I've got that You're Awesome, The Secret, and The Chimp Paradox. Maybe The Slight Edge. Just pick a good book that kind of reinforces all these things. Maybe it's a nutrition book or a training book. It doesn't have to be about your mindset, but try and pick something that helps the mindset. There's so many things you can do in each one of these categories. It could be start meditation or whatever. Training, obviously, join WitFit Live. Clearly, it's the training solution for you. Or just do some burpees wherever you are in the world, if you can't get on live. But again, like, get into that routine. Sleep, already touched on that, but there's quite a lot, and it's quite shocking. Even though I thought I knew about sleep, when I actually read about it, there's so much more that happens in sleep that we don't realize. So if you're really struggling with the sleep, it is important to get onto that. Your environment, again, you can choose a lot about your environment, and it is a third of how you feel. You may have heard of feng shui, which is kind of, you know, making sure the oven faces the right direction and things like that. There is some science, I think, into all of that. You know, Helen's laughing because she's had her house feng shuied, I assume. But yeah, you can do a lot for that. Everyone knows that, you know, when you cleaned your house, it feels much better, and if you're sat in an office block, it's not so inspiring. Connect, call someone. Obviously, a lot of us are doing that at the moment, so that's pretty good. I think actually we're tending to perhaps connect a little bit more than we are normally, so it's good. And recovery, I just put in there 5 minutes a day of stretching, like, because if you do 5 minutes, you probably do 10 minutes, and that's awesome. Okay, but you're just saying it's an easy thing for you to do. And if those things aren't easy for you to do, just find something else that's super easy. Just remember that slight edge. It's really little things that will add up and make the difference in the end, move the needle. Okay, right, I smashed it. Okay, I'm gonna leave you with that. E plus R equals O. It's the event plus your response equals the outcome that you'll have. So the only thing you can control is the response that you have to the event. You can't control the event. Okay, we can't control coronavirus, but we can control how we respond to it, and that will determine the outcome that we get. Okay, I think the big word that I think a lot through all this is just opportunity. It's potentially a massive opportunity for people to try something new, to, you know, yeah, try something new and do something differently and reevaluate what's important as well. Okay, let's go for questions, shall we? Has anyone got any questions? I don't think. No, all sweet. I'm gonna unmute everyone. So if you're singing in the background, just be aware. Alison and Martin, do you want to add anything?
No, that was really good. Thank you.
Ambushing you now, like
yeah.
you ambushed me the other day.
I know, and I was just about to write you a little message saying I've got to dash. Sorry. But no, I mean, for those of you who don't know, Martin and I have a business, and one of the things we do is train people in mental health awareness and mental health first aid, and everything that Ben has talked about tonight is stuff that we touch on in those courses as well, about keeping ourselves mentally well. So and physical health and mental health are so closely linked. You know, you don't have good mental health or good physical health without you know, the two combined. So and actually just a little point on the kind of compound interest thing. Ben, I know you know because I told you, but I weighed myself the other day. So I've been working with Ben for 2 months, and I weighed myself yesterday, and I've lost 11 pounds. But I would say that I only noticed that in the last 2 days. But I feel, you know, clearly, obviously, my body was changing shape and I was losing weight, but I hadn't really noticed it until 2 days ago. So yeah, I'm really delighted.
Amazing, well done.
Thank you. Thank you. So,
you must feel great.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I've always been overweight and I've always hated exercise. And one of the things that, you know, when I started working with Ben was I've got to enjoy this because otherwise I just won't do it. And I do really enjoy it. So I've been getting up at early, doing 3 sessions a week with Ben. And I think for me, I've just felt really supported and not judged. And, you know, I've just done it. I've just done my best. And, you know, I'm seeing the results. So it's great.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well done.
Thank you. But anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you all because I've got to dash.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Cheers. Bye.
Yeah. Right, the final thing is what next? Oh, it's already gone. Okay, we're doing a 4-week lockdown life changer. Okay, we're basically doing what we do in the gym, but we're put it online. Oh, this has all gone messed up, hasn't it? So we've put together 4 weeks of training. It's all online. There's going to be the mindset stuff that we've just done. We're doing the movement analysis. So trying to, like, basically we can use your movement as a diagnosis, and then prevent injuries through that, which is quite important. Flexibility assessment in there, and unlimited live group training, which is what we've been doing on Zoom, for those of you who know. So that's up and running as well. And the other thing that I missed out of there is nutrition, so we're going to help you with nutrition as well. So we've just basically, we've got nothing to do, so we smash this together, put as much in it as we can. And first 10 people who sign up, it's 299, and it's worth 579 quid. So lockdown, life changer. As soon as you've got nothing else to do, might as well get fit. Cool.
Ben, can I just ask, the quiz that you had, can you see that online anywhere? Or will you be able to see it anywhere? Because I only got to write in four questions down.
Oh yeah, sure. It's if you just type in fixed and growth mindset quiz into Google, it will come up, and it's I think it's by the London Institute or something.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
No worries. Has anyone else got any questions?
Yeah, I was hoping you could give us some tips on how to be motivated when we've got extra people in the house and we have extra things on our plate, and it's hard to stick to your normal routines just because it's different.
Yeah, I'm really lucky in the fact that my routine is, apart from the fact that no one's coming into the gym, it's not shifted about too much. But it's just adapting, that's all. It's being adaptive is always been something through my army days, really. Like, if we don't have the right bit of kit, we make something out of duct tape or whatever, So, but I think it's just coming up with that routine and get, like Alison said, physical fitness. I never realised that until I went on their course. It's the biggest thing you can do for your mental health, which is kind of cool. So I think if everyone's getting involved in training and trying to be a bit more of a team, maybe that will help you. Does that help?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just because it feels like we're all going through massive transformations at the moment, whether it's working from home, it's all good positive stuff, and we're all improving in very quickly in lots of different areas. I'm now a fully qualified teacher, and PE coach, drama teacher, everything, physics, maths, and it just feels like we're sort of almost like having to manifest all of these things all at once. And what would be nice for me would be able to make sure that I prioritise me time in there again. And the one thing about physically coming into the gym, having the phone up, is the fact that you're there and you're getting it done. I was wondering if there's a way of I don't know, sort of making that happen. Is there, other than the set times? For me, unfortunately, where I exercise, I can't get internet down the end of the house.
Oh, right, okay. I'll tell you what else really is quite good, is having like a traffic light system where you're like, right, it's the red zone, no one's talking. I'm on training mode, or I'm doing whatever I need to do, and I'm on an hour or something. I've heard that. Well, we do that in here because of chat.
I like that.
Yeah, so you have like a green and a. Cheers, Ivan. See you later. Thanks for coming in.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Ben, if I could just add something to that, exactly what you've just said there. One of the people we've been working with this week is struggling a little bit with the same kind of thing, Emma, and they've found a timetable really works. So they talk about their daily timetable every morning, almost like have a family brief. They talk about their timetable for the day, so everybody knows exactly what's happening at what time, and it means that they are getting time to themselves, and everybody understands that what's going on, and it's not personal and all that kind of stuff. And that seems to be working very well for them.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something you could.
Yeah, no, it's good advice. I think the difficulty is we've got 3 different timetables at the moment. It's making them kind of merge together. But the debrief and the briefing idea we've been doing, and actually we do find that really helps. But I think it'd be good, maybe we can share our kind of Google calendars and sort of be a bit more sympathetic towards each other's downtime. And the other thing is, I think we're all keen to just get done rather than sticking to our normal break. So I think actually putting in the calendar, this is when I'm doing this. There's the red light, nobody talk to me. I quite like that idea.
I think what you've already said is like you're this is good, and having that, it's all about that process. Like mine said, like you've got your calendar. That is your process. Like, so make it really, really clear. Like I just went over mine again yesterday. Like Hayden's now doing the morning classes, so it means that I'm free to wake up, do my meditation, have a brew, go and do my training, and then I'm in the gym for, I think it was 10 o'clock or something. Super chill. It was awesome. And then I'm taking the evening classes. So I've got my sort of schedule, and I can put in those processes that I know work for me, because meditation doesn't work for everyone. It is a bit of a thing you have to kind of practice. But just little things like that. And what you said about focusing on the positive things that are coming out of this, there is actually huge amounts of things that are happening, which is amazing. There's obviously loads of shit as well, but there is quite a lot of good things happening, especially, I mean, we live in the middle of the countryside. We can see hundreds and hundreds of deer. I'm sure last year there wasn't as many, but just in terms of things like that, it's just pretty amazing. So yeah.
Love it.
Cool. Anyone got anything else to add? All right then. Cool. If you want to, I can do another one of these next week, and we can kind of pick something else to talk about. Like we can kind of go into nutrition a bit more. Basically, anything on there really, that people really want to know. I know when we did the feedback form, the nutrition was quite a big one, and I think obviously right now, if you're not training so much, nutrition is going to be more important. And we would say it's like 50-50, but now maybe nutrition is a bit more important than your training is. What do people want? If you want to just shout at me or type anything down, let me know. No?
Definitely.
Yeah?
So good, mate. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll catch in again next week, and then I'll see you all then. Good to see you.
Well done, Ben. Great session. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, bye, everybody. Have a good weekend. Bye.
All right then. Nice to see you, Sarah.
Nice to see you too.
Bye bye. Right. I don't know how I get out of this.